Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Lauren if you're new to me. I am healing my chronic fatigue and adrenal fatigue energetically by healing the emotional wounds from my past that have led to a lot of emotional toxicity in my life and what eventually led to these chronic illnesses. The root cause of my illness were these emotional wounds. And this could be true for you. So on this channel, I talk about how I'm healing these wounds, how I'm peeling away the layers and healing the wounds that are causing this illness. And with every wound that I heal a little chunk of, I get physical healing, physical improvement in my symptoms, the amount of time I spend with symptoms at all, a jump in my energy, a jump in my vitality, a jump in my feelings, ability to feel joy and happiness, fulfillment, and purpose. And these are things that I want for you. If you have chronic fatigue or adrenal fatigue, those things are so hard to feel. They can be impossible to feel. Why are they impossible to feel? Because you have these emotional wounds potentially. When you have a lot of emotional wounds from your past, from your early life or before or prior, our bodies, our cells, our nervous systems, they get stuck in these low vibrational states. The low vibrations of these difficult emotions that we couldn't feel as children and that we now have to heal as adults with adult emotional capacities, adult resources, because we didn't have those resources as children. And there's a part of us, our inner child, you could think of it as your nervous system, you could think of it as your inner child, you could think of it as your unconscious. Part of your body is stuck in these low vibrational states. And when you get stuck there, you can't feel the high vibrational states of love, joy, fulfillment. You can feel love, but you don't feel it from your heart. You don't feel that swelling heart energy, that swelling heart that comes from gratitude too. It's really difficult to feel in your body these feelings that we all want, that we all crave. Especially the way the world is today, we're all feeling these negative energies even more. And I believe that that's because the energy of this new world that we're stepping into is a new energy that we can't hold on to these old wounds anymore. It's pushing us to heal them. Anyway, today I'm talking more about the shame wound. I've talked in a couple of previous videos about shame because that's what I'm working on right now, because it's this new layer that's exciting because I'm ready to heal it, but it sounds horrible because shame is such an unpleasant emotion for every human being. We all feel shame at some point in our lives, and we all hate to feel it. It feels awful. You want to shrink and cower, and it feels weak. And so I always think of the word icky. It feels so icky. It feels so icky in the body. Nobody wants to feel that. And shame for children, it feels really icky to adults. But it's overwhelming. It's a feeling that is really overwhelming for children to feel. And so if you had an early life where you felt shame on a chronic basis or in a profound way or in some interpersonal, well, shame is always interpersonal, but with a caregiver, with one of your primary caregivers, usually our parents, if there was a dynamic that caused these little t traumas that put you into a state of shame, and you may have developed strategies to defend against that, but if there was pain that led to shame, then the shame could have led to other things: anger, rage, powerlessness. But what's at the core of shame, what's underneath the shame, what happens first is feeling hurt, some sort of hurt. Some interaction, some dynamic, someone hurt you. And a way of coping with that hurt, one way of coping and putting in with that hurt is to put it on yourself. And I feel it hurts me to say it because I think, because we're children. We're little girls, little boys. But in a lot of ways, because we depend on our caregivers, because we could depend on our parents when we're children, in a lot of ways it's too scary to realize that person has hurt you so deeply. That person has let you down. That person isn't giving you the love you need. It's there that the love is in some way unsafe. That realization is really too big for a child to feel and understand, comprehend, because we depend on them. As I said, they must be safe. So we have to make sense in a different way. And in that way, it's safer in our child's mind to put it towards ourselves and to feel shame about, it must be me. I did wrong. There's something wrong with me. But at least my caregivers are safe. It's me that's wrong. I'm safe with my caregivers. It's just there's something fundamentally missing, wrong in me. That is extremely painful. But again, what we need when we absolutely must have when we're children is safety. And safety comes from that love. And so we need to make sense in a way that makes us feel safe. So the safety has to come first. That's our root chakra. And that's what's being built in the first 7 years of our lives, is that foundation, that root chakra, that safety, that basic feeling of safety in the world. And it's intertwined with love, because when our caregivers love us, they create safety for us to the best of their ability. And we all do that. Every parent in the world does that. Now, there were parents out there that have a lot of interference and can't provide it in any way that a child needs. There's a whole spectrum. There are parents that really can't provide anything and any of the children's basic needs because of their own stuff, their own circumstances, and they can't. They've got a lot of things clouding it. They've got a lot of pain. They've got a lot of trauma for them to themselves that they haven't healed, and so they can't give it. But the vast majority of people are giving the love that we all want to give to our children, and that's what our parents did for us. The problem is when we have unhealed wounds, we can't always give what our child needs. And even if we do have our wounds healed, we don't always understand our child enough to be able to give them all they need. If our child, or if we are highly sensitive people or empaths, to be honest, it's really difficult in today's world to get through your childhood without significant wounding. It's just the way it is with highly sensitive people and empaths in the world today. And that, we can speak about all the reasons for that. But today, again, I'm focusing on shame, and I'll tell you why, because that's what I'm focused on. That's what I am. And, I have to tell you, I am not your normal person with chronic fatigue or adrenal fatigue. I obsess. And I'm serious. I'm dead serious. I obsess about this stuff. I obsess about making sense of this illness. New ways of thinking about it. Different perspectives to bring in. What could this mean? What's the meaning? How could I shift this? I'm constantly going back and forth, also with my old self, my defended self, my wounded self, with my newer healing self, my healthy self, my healed self. As long as you're in this illness and in this healing process, you're constantly toggling between these two states of like a triggered state, a wounded state, and a healed, inspired, motivated state. This is my experience. And when I'm in this state of inspired state, what I'm thinking about is this illness and all the things that it can teach, all the gifts that are in it. When I'm in a wounded state, it's getting easier and easier, but what used to happen especially in the beginning, was all I could feel was that. I can't see anywhere out. I can't feel anything else. This is it, and I don't know if I'll ever get out of it, and this is just it. This is it for me. I guess this is just the way I'm going to live my life. That's how, this has been the toggle of the last 2 years for me. I don't know if you can relate to this, but I just want to say, I don't know if you obsess. I think about this stuff all the time. This is why I'm making a YouTube channel. because I need to get it out. All the things I need to share. Because if it could help you, oh my gosh, I would be the happiest person alive if I could help you heal these illnesses, these fatigue illnesses, the way I'm healing it. Because if you heal it, because if your root cause or a contributing cause is emotional stuff that I'm like what I'm talking about, and you heal it, you're going to feel so amazing that you're going to understand why I'm so excited all the time. If you look back at early videos, some of the early videos that I made, if I made a video in a trigger, while I was still in a triggered state, which I did a lot because I was in a triggered state, in a wounded state, a fatigued state a lot of the time. And so there are a bunch of videos like that, and I'm not excited like this. But I do get inspired as I talk about it because it does bring me out. It gives me some perspective. So it's a little side note that I obsess about this stuff. I think about this stuff all the time. So I've been working on shame for a couple months now, I think. And I had a little hiatus. I just got a little break from the surging up of symptoms. And then began a Venus retrograde. And it was incredible because I'm starting to make some videos on how I use astrology in this healing journey because it's really been essential, crucial, honestly. It's been really pivotal in my progress and my ability and self-development, health development, learning how to live healthily in the world and live with a healthy relationship with myself and others, and again, the world. So the Venus retrograde started on a Sunday. The day before was a full moon on a Saturday. And usually, a lot of times on full moons, some difficult emotion surges up and I have a hard time. And then, I'm left sort of figuring out, and I read a lot of astrology to try to get some clues on what is this full moon about? What's trying to come up right now? But this full moon, I think it was in Gemini. I felt like $1,000,000. Honestly, I was floating. My solar plexus was raging. I was doing all this. I was working on my course. I was having all this success. I'm making a nervous system course, and if it's up by the time you're watching this, look in the comments, and I will have a link to it. It's how to rewire your nervous system. Anyway, so I was working on my course. I was feeling great. I was feeling inspired. And literally, I thought I would fly on this for at least a few days, this amazing solar plexus energy for a few days. But the next day, the Venus retrograde started, and honestly, I've never paid attention during Venus retrograde. I had no idea I didn't think it would have any impact on me at all. I thought it was going to be pretty subtle. Nope. The next day, that Sunday when it started, I plummeted into shame soup. I didn't know it was shame soup because, as I've talked about it extensively on this channel, when we're children and we've got these very difficult emotions, we've got to figure out defenses, ways to protect ourselves to not feel them in full. They're too much. They can be overwhelming. So we have to create defenses against those things. And what happens is those defenses armor us and teach us how to disconnect our mind and body and spirit so that we don't feel those wounds as much. We disconnect. Sometimes we dissociate. And my belief, my understanding is that the disconnection, that the process of this disconnection stagnates the emotional energy that needs to move. And over time, if you stagnate that energy enough, it stays in your body long enough, stagnant, turns to this mucky, nasty ball of suppressed emotion. That's what creates these fatigue illnesses for people who have contributing or root causes of emotional energetic aspects, emotional and energetic sort of toxicities. So what happened to me is I developed all these sacral chakra symptoms, mood symptoms. So my sacral region, my abdomen, my lower abdomen ballooned up, and it had been very flat for a while. And I was like, oh man, was I enjoying that, because I have not had a flat my stomach has not been distended, I don't think my whole life. And I've just had so many digestive things and all this stuff going on that I didn't know was going on. I guess I've just been carrying that shame wound. And so I've always had this protruding abdomen a little bit. Before I had my son, I mean, it's just been there, sitting there. And it's a rare day that I had to not have that protrusion in my abdomen. So I was loving it. Then the day the Venus retrograde starts, my abdomen puffs up. I start retaining water there, everywhere, face, just everywhere, my legs, all over my body. And I became moody. I became pissed. I was just pissed. I was irritated at everything. Everything sucked. I felt weak and tired. And those three things that I just listed, these symptoms like water retention and bloating, abdominal discomfort, my digestion slowed down, the fatigue, the feeling just feeling like you're heavy, just really heavy, you just want to sit down. I become very spacey. I get brain fog. I can't concentrate well. I can't listen well. I can't speak well clearly. Everything's hard. Everything's slow. Everything doesn't move. Well, over time, over the long time, a couple of years, I know what each of these symptoms are connected to, and so I have the ability to make sense of them, finally, and I can share them with you. Now, they might not be exactly the same for you. We might all, because, our bodies and our unconscious works in metaphors, and we all sort of have different associations with different things. So we might have, your unconscious might have a different metaphor that it's going to create, which is going to make a different symptom for you, potentially. But I'll share with you mine, and it might be the same. I mean, we all have the same chakras that are all related to the same thing. So it's probably going to be similar, would be my guess. But I'm just saying it's not a guarantee that it's going to be the same wound for you. It might not resonate the same way. But I can tell you, for me, the sacral chakra stuff, the water retention, the distended abdomen, the digestion slowing down, especially in the large intestines, which is in the lower abdomen, is shame. It is shame. The core wound underneath the shame is pain from an interpersonal dynamic. Some old hurt that is from an interpersonal dynamic with one of my caregivers, or both of my caregivers in different ways, when I was a child. So some kind of pain of not receiving the kind of love that I needed, some interpersonal pain. Because sacral chakra are interpersonal relationships. How we meet other people, how they meet us, how we love, how we exchange love with other people, how we have relationships with others. That's sacral chakra. It's also creativity and things like that. Which, actually, now that I mention it, when I'm triggered in this way, when I have that wound, the sacral chakra wound coming up, my ability to play is zero. My ability to be creative and play pretend with my son is zero. I can't go there. It's completely blocked. That is the sacral chakra wound. So if you have blocked energy, if you have an inability to be playful, when you have an inability to be creative, like a serious block, it's not just that you're not in the mood, it's that that's blocked. You're chronically unable to get there. Can't play pretend. You can't be silly. That is all sacral chakra wounds. That is interpersonal wounding with caregivers. But it could have stemmed originally from past lives or ancestral wounding. That's a talk for another day. Now the anger, the irritability, the feeling prickly, you don't want to step over here. You don't want to touch my prickles. Because you don't want to know what's going to happen. That kind of thing is just you're just irritable and you just have got your spines out. That's rage. That is rage. It's not just anger. Anger is different than rage. Rage has an element of contempt, of almost disgust. It's contempt. It's rage. I can feel it. I don't always have the words, but I always have the feeling. If I could just convey it with my body language and my facial expressions. But, that curling of the lip, that there's some contempt in it. There's resentment. That's the word I'm trying to think of. There's resentment in there. Rage has its anger plus age, like old anger that's built up, and over time it got resentment added in there. Resentment that you're being treated this way, like you feel done to. You're being done to. And rage is not productive. Anger has productive uses. Anger, the energy of anger can be productive. Anger is productive when it's about setting boundaries. It's about having your boundary, when your boundaries are crossed for too much, for too long, and then you get angry about it and push back. That's anger energy that, you should ideally see that the boundary is being crossed before you get angry. But a lot of us have trouble making boundaries, and so it gets crossed too far for too long, and eventually you get angry, and then pushing back and making that boundary. Well, that's a productive use of anger. Now, you don't want to dump anger on people. I'm not advocating for that at all. But I'm just saying using that angry energy to make a boundary. And again, angry energy, not anger. And this is a hard process. I am really working on learning how to use anger productively. If you don't know how to do this, I will be making more videos on it, because this is something I am really challenged to learn, and I am working hard on it. Rage is different. All emotions like that, like anger, and even shame and everything, and sadness, they all have productive use. We all have these emotions for some reason. These emotions are productive in some way, can be. The problem you get into is when they become core, like I talked about, core helplessness, like learned helplessness. It's a habitual thing that's ingrained in you. Core shame that's ingrained in you and ingrained in your sense of self. It's not just that it's the emotion that's serving a purpose in a moment. It's embedded in you, ingrained in you. That's when it causes problems, emotionally and physically and energetically. But rage doesn't really have a productive, the part of it that's productive is the anger, but when it takes on resentment, and it's not productive anymore. That's toxic energy. But it comes with shame. There's a shame-rage duality. When you have core shame, you also have rage. There's going to be rage. They always come hand in hand. The other thing that it comes hand in hand with shame is powerlessness. A sense of powerlessness and helplessness. So, the symptom that correlates with for me is the weakness, the limpness, that I just want to sit, and my whole physiology changes, like I just did. It shrinks. I want to look down. Everything I look at is just, I can't see beauty in anything. I'm all defended and prickly, and I'm emoting shame. It's like I'm embodying the energy of shame. If somebody could say, what does shame look like? They would say, Lauren, when she's triggered. Like, I just feel like I so embody that. But more so recently with the anger, that it comes with this attitude, because it's been in my body too long. It's my soul telling me that's been in your body too long, and I'm going to make it's going to become more and more miserable until you get it out. It's the way it feels. This is the way I think about it. This is the way I'm perceiving it. And so that combination of symptoms is the shame wound. It's the sacral chakra wound. And it all started on the day of the Venus retrograde starting. So then I tried, learning all about the astrology of that. And this is a way that I encourage you to use astrology. When you have some seemingly random symptom, it's not random, it's part of your illness, but it's a symptom just gets really bad. It's just all of a sudden gets really bad. And you have all these defenses, just like me, and just like everybody with this illness who has an energetic cause, like what I'm talking about. You've got all these defenses. So how do you identify what the emotion is that's connected to this symptom? Well, you could listen to me, and maybe it's the same as for you, and just take what I mean, but you still have to give it your own meaning. You still have to figure out what the meaning is for you, what it is, what the dynamic is, and put words to, or something outside of yourself, whether you use art, whether you write in a journal, whether you speak, some way to get it outside of you to make sense of it. It has to make sense for you. And so even if it is a shame wound like it is for me, you still have to go through the process of making sense of of your shame wound that's different than mine. And that's a process. It's a process that I talk about on this channel and that I'm sure I will continue to talk about. So again, it's about identifying, maybe these sacral chakra wounds, again, is shame for everybody. But the reason that you have a shame room is different for everybody. It's going to be different for every single person. Making intellectual sense is really helpful for moving that energy, putting words. We're human beings, and speech, words, language, we have evolved to be creatures that use language and creative expression as ways of dealing with, ways to cope with, ways to make sense of difficult emotions in our lives. And that's why talk therapy is a thing. I mean, this is because the use of language can bring about healing, but it doesn't end there. In my experience, you can't end there. If you've got things that are embedded in your body, you've got to do body work too. And that's why I advocate havening techniques on this channel, because I love it. Or EFT tapping if you like that. That's just personal preference. It works just as well. I mean, it's the same science. It's just that doesn't speak to me the same. I just don't have the same preference for it as I do. I just like the strokes that are part of havening, the havening touches. Just like them better. I find them more soothing. And I find this technique of transpirational havening, that feeling like you're almost pulling the emotion out of you by speaking it. Even that imagery is just very helpful for me. And I really encourage everybody to give it a try. Because one of those two techniques is really all you need. Plus the stuff that I talk about on this channel, that it's the one sort of technical tool that you need, other than the breathing technique that I teach for adrenal healing and nervous system healing. I do talk about it on this channel, but I go into depth into it, into resetting your nervous system in that course. So again, that'll be in the link below if you're interested. So the breathing technique and the havening are really sort of the technical pieces that you need in this healing process. And then there are all these tools like astrology and mindset tools and everything that I teach too. But I will say most of my time spent in this healing process is trying to pull out, make sense of, and put a perspective on whatever wound is coming up. And it takes time. And I've said this again and again and again. It's because we have built all these defenses around this wound. So now we don't even feel the emotion at all, not even for a split second. When you have this illness, and this illness is caused by energetic and emotional toxicity like mine, you will be triggered and not even feel it for a second, not the emotion. You will go immediately, and your body will go immediately, stagnate that energy, and go immediately to the symptom. Your symptom gets worse because you have more. Now you've just made more stagnant energy in there. Isn't that crazy? I think it's crazy, but it's true. It's proven to me all the freaking time. Honestly, once I've figured this out, it just gets confirmed all the time in my experience, in my healing journey. So I think sort of an ending note with all of this, and one of the things I want you to take away from this is that this is a process. And what you're doing with me on this journey, on this healing journey, through this process, through this channel, buying my courses, whatever you do, if you're on an emotional healing journey like this, it's exactly that. It's a journey. And it requires you to pick these states apart to make sense of them, so that once you get to something that really hits your emotion, brings the emotion up for you to actually feel the emotion. That's always the goal. That's why we're always using our cognitive abilities and the things that we're learning to help connect us, astrology and all the things that are helping us, and chakras and all the things that are helping us connect these. We're doing this intellectually so that when we find some phrases, a way of looking at it, something will hit. in a way that will allow you to actually feel the emotion itself, so that it's not being blocked anymore. To make it safe for your body to let that emotion be felt as an emotion. And when you feel that emotion, that's when you pull out your havening techniques. And you draw out, you do that emotion, you say, you're ashamed over and over again, you say angry, sad, helpless, powerless, disappointed, vulnerable. I mean, any kind of difficult emotion that you're feeling, whatever gets pulled out, even if you can't identify a core emotion, if it's just stress, if it's just overwhelm, it's something will come out. And you're drawing that emotion, that experience out. What you really want are those core emotions. That's ultimately the goal, is to get to those core emotions of pain, hurt. You can say hurt over and over again, but it doesn't really work to just do. You have to feel, you have to be embodying that emotion. And that's what's hard for you and me to do, because we have all these defenses. So havening is the easy part. Getting to how to feel that emotion, how to identify it and bring it up and feel it in your body. So difficult for you and me, so difficult for us who have difficult emotions that we have stagnated, that we have repressed, that we have stopped, blocked. So difficult, but not impossible. And actually, by learning this process, you will build more confidence and wonderful experiences by learning how to do this process, learning how to feel emotions, identify, bring up, and feel emotions in your body, and then learn how to heal them and release them. You will gain so much confidence. It feels amazing once you get the hang of it. So it's challenging, but oh my gosh, just so worth it. Not to mention all the vitality and health that you will get every time you heal a little piece of that wound. So that's my message for you today. I hope it was helpful. I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will see you on the next video. Take care. Bye.